NBA basketball has returned. Real regular season NBA basketball on. Not a lot to celebrate from the first three games for the Blazers, but breaking news, they have a lead heading into the fourth quarter against the Raptors right now. I'm waiting for my stupid computer to finish updating so I can sail the high seas and watch the game. Because I'm just going to go on a rant real quick. Screw
I was hoping you
Comcast.
would.
Screw Comcast. We didn't get a chance to talk about this a few weeks ago. Last week, I had COVID, unfortunately, so we weren't able to do the podcast. I know I'm all over the place here right now, but screw Comcast for their enacting their little policy change and not showing the Blazer games without subscribing to their premium content package. And they make the choice to do that like 3 3 weeks before the season starts. Screw Comcast, you're a terrible company. I just wanted to quickly say that from the bottom of my heart and the
Root
heart of
Sports.
basically everyone that I know, all of my friends and family members.
Root Sports.
Is it their fault? I thought it was more Comcast's fault.
It's Comcast.
I mean,
Yeah.
screw Root Sports, though. Root Sports is not a great platform to watch the games on either. It's hard to they prioritize hockey over the Blazer games a lot of the time. Come on.
Yeah, it's a mess. They clearly need to do some sort of stream option directly from the team, where just direct to consumer. It's the
That's
way
what we
that
need.
it. Yeah,
I think they will. I think they're seeing what other teams like the Lakers and Phoenix and Utah are doing down the line, and I think that once this contract's over in 2 years, it'll happen.
Until that happens, I'm not afraid to say it. Sportssurge.net. Everyone go there today to get all of your sports-related content. What?
Don't get them shut down.
Like our channel's gonna be the one to shut down Sports Surge. All right, sorry. It's actually called Support Surge.
Something like that.
Back to Blazer basketball.
So, Colton, what do you like from this game? What are you seeing that's different tonight from the first three games?
I'm going to be Mr. Optimist this podcast. I know there's been a lot to be kind of negative about early on. Namely, in my opinion, Chauncey Billups and his coaching schemes and his strategies. But this game against the Raptors, currently there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Blazers are up 80-76. The defense has been coherent. For the first time in a long time, the defense has looked very good today. Players are hitting their rotations. They're getting blocks. They're getting steals, hustle plays, rebounds. That's looking great. Scoot Henderson, after a rough start, he's a 19-year-old rookie point guard, but he is playing very well this game as far as getting his feet wet, driving into the paint, kicking it out. He's racking up the assists. Shaedon Sharpe's looked good. Ayton has played well on defense, getting a lot of rebounds. He's not getting the ball a lot, but he's been playing well on defense. He's been mobile. I think that what we want out of Blazers this year is not wins, it's progress. Are the Blazers progressing? Are their young players progressing? Are they becoming more cohesive as a unit? I think that as the season goes on, hopefully we look more and more cohesive as long as nobody's getting injured or shut down with the tank. Simons has been a big loss, to be fair.
At least with if that's the goal progression, they really have a lot of room to improve on. Like, you can't start at a lower place, or it's hard to start at a much lower place than they started to begin the season. So I think by default, if they do anything this season, it'll be improvement and the goal will be satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot to worry about, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about some of that. But, looking at the game tonight, it's been good to see that it seems like Scoot is starting to figure out a little bit about where he should be on the floor. It's good to see that Jeremy is actually, putting some of these balls through the hoop a little bit, which has not been the case the first few games. And that Ayton is actually out there getting like a significant number of rebounds. I mean, right now he's sitting at 10 and 16. 16 rebounds in the NBA, that's not a joke. That's pretty good, even for a starting center. So those are the kind of numbers we need to be seeing with him. I'd like to see him scoring more, But kind of to Colton's point, I don't know that that's all necessarily his fault. I mean, it was one of the first two games. He had like 4 shots the whole game, which is just unbelievable from your starting center. I mean, they should be, as I said it in the text message to you guys, this should be way more Stockton and Malone and way less Damon CJ. I mean, the fact that they're not running pick and rolls like 30, 40 times a game is just unbelievable. And I mean, I think in the first couple games, I don't know if we saw any, really.
Nope. You guys want to hear a good Riley stat of the night? The power rankings came out. I believe it was ESPN. The Blazers ranked 30th, and for good reason from what they've shown so far. One of the stats that came out of the power rankings, it showed the usage of DeAndre Ayton on the Blazers. He's ninth on the Blazers in usage rate. He's not getting the ball. Skylar Mays is getting more shots than DeAndre Ayton. That is a serious.
Could some of that? I mean, is it like per minute that he's on the floor? Because a lot of that could have to do with his foul trouble in the first.
Well, I mean,
two of the
foul
first,
trouble, especially in the game one, did not help. I'm not going to really even include game one because first game with a new team, he wasn't on the floor a lot, and he was in foul trouble. But he's not getting the ball from the guards. Brogdon has been shooting it nearly every time he touches the ball. Scoot is still getting his feet wet, and the chemistry with Ayton is not there. He's tried to force a couple passes in there. Hasn't worked out great. I think that'll come with time. But I think more plays need to be ran specifically in the pick and roll or pick and pop game with Ayton. Just what you said, Riley. It's gross negligence of using a player that you need to use to have a functional offense. So I think, yes, there's been some concerns from Ayton as well. There's been some concerns from every Blazer, but I really think a lot of this has been, one, the lack of cohesion with the team, and two, the scheming on offense and defense has not been great. Until tonight.
Yeah, until tonight. What's the score at right now?
We're sitting at 85-80 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Good defense being played.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before. I think that a lot of what we're seeing from these first 3 games are just players that hardly even know their skill set.
Yep.
And, if they don't even know their own skill set, they're not going to know the skill set of their teammates yet. So It's really just going to take some reps to figure that out. It does seem like, though, that with players not really knowing their skill sets, and one of the few tandems that kind of do know their skill set going in, at least the coaching staff, it seems like they should have known that the Scoot Ayton pick and roll should have been the bread and butter of the team, and that not happening is a little concerning. And instead kind of just forcing these players to pick their spots a little bit more and not really having a central play to build the other options around. I'm no NBA coach. I don't know the ins and outs of how an offense is built specifically, but it does seem like you want a go-to play involving your best player, at least your most experienced and your max guy, with Simons out in particular. So it is a little concerning to not really have Ayton involved in the offense, and it seems a lot more like it's if he goes up and gets an offensive rebound, he's not like trusting to kick it out, because he's not getting the passes back to him. So if he goes and gets an offensive rebound, he's just taking it to the hoop every time, trying to get his own, because it doesn't really seem like his teammates or the coaching staff so far is helping him. But that being said, I don't even really think that the thing that concerns me about Ayton is the on the floor stuff. Bye, Colton. Well, I guess it's just me and you, right?
Go right ahead, Curb. Keep it going.
Should we wait for him to come back in, or should we stop the video? Or I guess we would have some issues if we stopped the video, wouldn't we?
Yeah, just keep going.
Well, the main issue with Ayton, in my eyes, is more the off the court stuff. I did not like his interview that he had after his game 1 loss, where he was very frustrated with the referees. Understandably, he was in foul trouble, but I didn't like the interview. He was he was trying to get the reporters on his side by kind of playing that whole, like, have you seen so many fouls? Like, I've never seen so many fouls on one guy in my life and everything. It's like, man, you're a professional basketball player. If you're still letting like foul trouble, really take
The
you out of your
refs.
game, yeah, the refs take you out of your game and kind of and blame them and not like say, it's on me. I need to do better in the next one. That's really the answer that I much would have preferred. Um, but I guess he's really not that type of guy, as Phoenix fans can attest to. He's maybe has some things that can be kind of annoying from a fan standpoint about him. But I hope that I hope it continues to work out, and if he finds his role in the offense, maybe that attitude will start to subside, and it'll be more of a positive. We'll start to enjoy that kind of what he's got in his personality a little bit more.
Yeah, I
Look
mean, I
forward to
think
see how you guys can hold down the fort
Yeah,
without.
welcome back, Colton. Welcome back.
I think that we have a little bit of a predisposition to be nervous about guys who start complaining about the refs right away because we grew up in the sheet era. So the last thing we want is another star player whose main go-to when things don't go his way is to start complaining about the refs and the foul calls. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Colton.
that's
If you didn't catch what I was saying, I was just talking about Aiton's post game interview after game one, which bothered me a little bit. I didn't like his reaction to the foul trouble. It seemed like he was putting it on the refs. He was, saying, "Have you seen so many foul calls in the game?" And I get the frustration, but I would have much preferred to see from a professional like him and an NBA starter caliber player to put it on himself and say he's got to do better for the next one and not really let the refs take him out of his game. But
You know, and you're right. I think so far in his career, he's been the young guy, and he is going to have to be a leader on the team because of his age. And hopefully, that him being on this team with all the other younger guys than him helps him grow in that area. There was some really poor foul calls on him, but also this team is going to foul a lot. If we've seen anything, young teams do foul a lot. They're aggressive, and they also get less benefit of the doubt for on the whistle from the officials. So I hope he grows in that area. But
well, speaking of guys who, should be leaders on this team right out of the gate, and also guys who we should have known early on what their contribution to the team was going to be, I've had some serious concerns about our huge contract we signed this offseason with Jeremy Grant, because I don't think that he has been playing up to that standard so far. After the first couple games, my talking point for this pod was going to be that he isn't shooting enough because his usage rate was way down. Not only was he like fourth or fifth position, but there was a huge gap between the third position and him. He wasn't shooting nearly enough. Then game 3 happened, and he took plenty of shots to make up for it and just didn't make them. So that puts you in a tough spot when like he should be taking a lot of shots with his talent, but he should also be making a lot of shots. And I don't know if that's really on the table for him right now. I mean, he is right now shooting like 15% from 3 on more than 4 attempts a game. That's a pretty sizable number of shots that he's taking, and he's not making them. This is kind of what I was talking about when I just worry about him in that 4 position. I think that he's getting some mismatches where he's just not really able to thrive. I think he needs to be able to play bigger than his defender. And yeah, his shots aren't looking good when he's getting them, and they're not getting him enough shots in the first place. So I have some serious concerns about that contract.
I think he's taking too many shots.
Now,
Well, here's the problem. What I've noticed again, this comes down to Chauncey Billups, this scheme. Whatever he's running on offense, I hate it. Jeremy is getting a lot of his shots out of the ISO. And it's a problem I've noticed with Brogdon and Jeremy Grant. If they get the ball, they're putting shots up.
black
Whether
holes.
that's a good shot or a shot, they will put it up. That's part of the reason why I think Jeremy's been inefficient this year, is because a lot of his offense is coming ISO, which he can do, but I would much rather him coming as like the secondary attacker after the defense is caught off guard or on catch and shoots. I think those are the 2 places he excels. So I don't like where the offense is coming from with Jeremy. I agree with you that, it hasn't been great for Jeremy. So I really hope that we can get him some easier shots, because ISO ain't it.
I think a lot of this, though, is a symptom of the problem that we discussed earlier, that these guys just don't know each other at all. They're looking around on the floor like we have no idea what these guys' skill sets are, where we need to get them the ball in the areas where they're going to be able to succeed. And I think that kind of tends to look maybe worse sometimes for a veteran guy, or maybe not even worse, but their stats are going to be out of skew because guys like Brogdon and Grant, they're looking around at all these 20-year-old kids running around and have, that really have no NBA experience. They don't know what their skill sets are. They don't know where they need to get them the ball for them to thrive. And so they just end up shooting the ball because they're like, there's a better chance of me shooting and making it than turning the ball over. It's like
True.
the chances of, so just they're kind of afraid to move the ball right now because the communication just isn't there. The system isn't there. The reps aren't there right now for the other players. And I think that kind of makes Jeremy and Malcolm Brogdon look in particular like chuckers right now. And I don't think that'll necessarily be the case once the team figures out their identity a little bit more moving forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of chucking going on. I mean, even tonight, which it's a better game, but, like I said, Jeremy Grant was shooting about 15, 16%, and he's 1 for 6 from 3 again tonight. So it's apparently that's what he shoots from 3. And I don't know if a guy who shoots 16% from 3 should be taking 6 of them a game. That means he's not being used correctly.
Remember last year when he was shooting like 50% from 3 for the first few months of the season? We were like, oh my God, we got a gym here. This guy is not only like a solid 3-point shooter, but a elite one. And then he kind of came back down to earth. I think that tends to.
But he ended up shooting 40%.
Yeah, which I think those figures will round into form. I don't know though. Maybe without Dame taking the pressure off, it won't be as wide open looks for him. But
I think he needs to be shooting more catch and shoot. Just he needs to get some easier shots. That's what I'm saying. Like when he's been spending this whole time ISOing, getting these tough, they're almost Nurkic shots. They're like flailing, throwing them up high off the window because he's not really getting by his guy. So he's not really getting efficient inside the lane, and then outside the lane, he's trying to shoot him, rush him up there.
What's been the brightest spot so far through the ugliness of the season so far? What's been the brightest spot? I mean, Simon's had a great first game, and then tore up his thumb. I actually liked what I've seen from Brogdon for the most part, mainly because I think that he'll probably generate a nice trade offer down the future. I think he's proving right now to contenders that he's worth going out and making a move for. Obviously, Kamara has been shown little flashes. So, what do you guys like from the season so far out of all this negativity?
Well, so far I've been pleasantly surprised with Shaedon Sharpe, at least on offense, at least his shooting. I had kind of some concerns after the preseason games and what we saw over the summer that maybe he still wasn't really there yet in terms of like being a guy who could take on serious minutes. But I mean, he's been scoring at a pretty good clip. I do feel a little bit like there's kind of a problem across the board where these guys, they're kind of turned into black holes when they get the ball. The ball doesn't come back out. There's not very much passing going on. There's not very much movement. And I feel like that's kind of Shaedon is suffering from that a little bit too. But he's obviously a very talented scorer. And, he's been averaging 20 points a game, and he's been shooting pretty efficiently, more so than some of our other guys. There's still a lot of room there too for improvement. And I hope that, as the team starts moving the ball a little bit better and hopefully getting some stops and learning each other's tendencies and, what we all wanted to see Scoot collapse the defense and pass out to ready shooters. Yeah. And that hasn't really been the look yet so far. But if we can get there, I think Shaedon has proven that he can knock down those shots at a high clip, and he's also just an athletic freak. So I've been glad to see him looking like an NBA player so far.
Well, and we're starting to see the scoop drive in and kick out tonight in this Raptors game, thankfully. There's two pieces that are definitely highlights for me so far. Definitely Shaedon Sharpe, and I actually think he's been the best perimeter defender too. I've seen flashes with his passes. So Sharpe, if I remember right, coming into this fourth game, Sharpe is leading all second-year players in scoring.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's good. He's been playing well. He's been getting good shots. He's been kind of playing within the offense, not taking more shots than, say, Grant or Brogdon. So I like that. And then Toumani Camara. Couldn't even pronounce his name right when we traded for him. He has been awesome on defense. He's been hustling, playing great defense, playing his role on offense, crashing the boards, just playing with size. He kind of looks like Scottie Pippen out there as far as size goes. He's wearing number 33 on the jersey. So, I'm not saying he's Scottie Pippen full skill set, but really been liking what I've been seeing from Toumani Camara so far. I think later on in the season, Toumani Camara might be starting at the 3. I think he's really shown. He kind of reminds me of, like, impact-wise, like rookie Batum. So kind of that extra starter that can come in, do a little bit of everything. He's a wing that we've needed, So I don't know. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Camara and Sharpe. As
He's
the
a
Blazers
big.
take a 6-point lead with 2 minutes left.
I know. I'm watching this right now. Brogdon just had a nice driving layup. Kamara looks very big. That's when I'm watching him play, I get more like Boris Diaw vibes than Nicholas Batum when I've seen him play. He's a big body. Looks like he could play down low, bang around, get rebounds. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing from him a lot too. Colton, you said Jabari Walker had a big highlight earlier tonight.
He had a great block. Grady Dick, Mr. Grady Dick, came in and tried to dunk, and I didn't even know Jabari Walker could get up this high. Scoot Henderson seems to have fouled out. That's okay. It was his best game today. Jabari
7 assists.
Grady's shot, yeah, and he could add more. But yeah, great highlight from Jabari. Let's see how Toumani Camara comes in to close the game. Exactly what I was, he should be playing big minutes. He's played well.
Yep. There's only 26 seconds left. It looks like they have a
Whoa, you're still way ahead of me.
Spoilers.
You're way ahead of me. No spoilers. Wrong pirated.
What? Wait, there's actually a minute 34 left right now.
There's a minute 34 left, Riley.
Come on, update your scorecard accordingly,
we're
please.
We're sailing the seas. I don't want any more food, Riley. Don't tell me if we win or lose.
You can't be checking the box scores while you're sailing the high seas. It's a rookie mistake.
I'm not on sports.
Oh, Aiden with a beautiful dime to Brogdon. This is just turning into a live stream over this game. Sorry, Aiden? we are fans first and foremost. We're not reporters here, so we're just gonna live react to this game. It's exciting.
Ayton has been taking over this game. I'm telling you, he's having a really good game.
Yep.
Well, yeah, now I'm afraid to say any numbers, but his rebound statistics in this game are insane. I don't know where he's at a minute ago, but
yeah, I saw the last I looked, I think 22 rebounds. That's numbers we haven't seen since like the Joel Prisbilla days.
Yeah.
Jeremy, an absolute cheese missed. Nice job crashing the glass by Shaedon though. Man, his size is so impressive, Shaedon Sharpe.
His athleticism.
He looks bigger, than 6'6" in my opinion. That's because he can jump to 13 feet or whatever. Wow, Brogdon taking over. But I'm driving in, watching Shaedon Sharpe drive in a few nights ago. He like bodied a guy, contact, fought through, and like laid it in easily. He's good at dealing with contact, jumping. He's not just jumping over guys, he's jumping through them too. And with his size.
When's the last time the Blazers played a road game where the opposing team started all their regular starters and held them almost to under 90 points? I don't know what the final score is yet, Riley, because I know it's probably close, but they're sitting at 91 points with what, 21 or 30 seconds left, Kirby?
Yeah, that's what the box score right now I think is up to date. It's 97-91 Blazers with 20 seconds left.
Yeah. So, hey, that's great defense. I've been harping on Billups this at the start of the season because it has looked awful on offense and defense with this horrendous zone. I can't handle Chauncey Billups' zone defense, but give credit where credit's
The
due.
up zone.
Yeah, the up zone. Yeah. I was down on the zone. I'm an up zone, whatever. I'm down on it. I'm not up on it. But
Is it the
up on this.
Bill zone or the ups zone? We need to figure that out.
I don't know what it is, but I hate it. And this game has been much better, more attached defensively. No matter the outcome here, they've played a really good game. Their offense has still been a little sloppy, but man, you're holding down a team with the Raptors that are playing all their starters. They should be a playoff team with how much talent they have.
Kamara has the best plus minus on the team right now with +10. He's got 7 boards, 2 offensive. He's looking like he could be a real contributor this year.
Seriously. He's
good defense by Ayton at the rim. Foul on the Raptors. Looks like the Blazers are going to pull away with a win. First win of the season. Coming a lot sooner than I think a lot of people thought maybe after their performance in the first 3 games. It looked like we might be going over for a while.
Well, if Scoot keeps waking up and showing flashes like he did today, if Ayton keeps dominating the paint like he did today, I think you can categorize his performance today as pretty dominant rebounding wise. I think your guys' dad needs to say, wow, that was a pretty good game from Ayton, right? I think we need to invite him.
He's gonna look at the 10 points and be like, oh, he doesn't have what it takes.
How many shots did he even take? I don't know.
5 of 9.
9, yeah. Well, I think that's pretty good for how
pretty
much
efficient.
time. He doesn't get to touch the ball a lot on offense lately. So far.
A win makes all the box scores look a lot nicer. If it wasn't a loss, everyone would be like, only 9 shots, but in a win, everyone's like, that's all he needed. He was busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Blazers get the win here, 99-91. That's refreshing to see. I think that's probably is going to bolster all of our spirits a little bit. Blazers can actually be competitive this year. It might not look as god awful as it looked in the first couple of games of the year.
They were competitive in the game against the Magic. And to be fair, they've played 3 road games now? 1 home game. I think they got a couple more on the road. So that's a really tough schedule. They've played, the MVP. They've played the Clippers. They've had a tough kind of early schedule, in my opinion. So, I mean, there's not a lot of gimme teams in the NBA now because the NBA is really talented, but they got the win, and that's all that matters.
That tough start to the season is called baptism by fire. This young team is going through it early, but it might help them out later down the stretch, kind of get used to some of these real difficult road situations.
At the risk of oversimplifying, we're now winning a quarter of our games this season. So if you extrapolate that over the season, that's like a 20.5 win season. So maybe that's a good jumping off point for our predictions. Where do you think the team's going to end up? Do you think over under 20.5 wins? And where do you think they are going to end up?
Colton, you can go ahead if you'd like.
So before the season started, I thought we were looking at 25 to 30 wins. The start has left me wavering a little bit on that, but I think we can hit 25 wins unless injuries. If Simons comes back, I still think this team has enough talent, as long as, like I said, health bearing, to win 25 games. And that doesn't even sound like a lot, and it's not a lot, but when you start getting sub 20, you're starting to get historically bad. And it could happen. It could happen if they get a run of kind of bad luck or kind of chemistry issues. But I think this team will win 25 games. Maybe that's on the high end. We'll see. And it depends on who's traded as well. I think the trade deadline is going to be super interesting. I think Brogdon is definitely gone during the trade deadline, but then we'll see what happens with Jeremy Grant. Matisse Thybulle, we'll see what happens with him. I think everybody else is probably safe unless a good offer comes in for Robert Williams. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I don't think any Blazers are going to win any awards. Sadly, Scoot needs to really set the world on fire if he wants to win Rookie of the Year. Wembanyama and Chet have gotten off to pretty good starts.
Yeah.
So that kind of knocks them out. I don't think Chauncey's going to win any Coach of the Year award myself. And so that's kind of where I'm at. We'll see. Shaden could be in the discussions for most improved player if he continues down the path, I guess.
Or
But
Simons if he comes back and lights the world on fire.
You're right. You're right. So we'll see what happens. That's my prediction. This is a rebuild year. Blazer fans don't usually have the stomach for rebuild years where we're going in at the start of our season saying this is a rebuild year. We're used to like having way too high of hopes. This is what
At least we know this year, though. It's not, it's not going to turn from a championship aspiration season to tanking is losing as many games as they possibly can. That's what we're used to as Blazers fans. I think I'm gonna Price is Right you. I'm gonna go a few higher. I'm gonna take the high end of what you said. I think that there's a real decent chance that they could win 28, 29 games this year. And I think, as the season rolls on, I think they'll figure each other out more. I think that the young guys will figure out their roles, start to take over the offense a little bit more. And there's a chance towards the end of the season, if they hit a stride and some other teams have some injury problems or some tanking issues, I think they could get up there into those that upper 20 reach. There might be a few people out there saying that's a bad idea because that means the Blazers aren't likely to get a real high pick. But I've been of the mind that I think Colton disagrees with, but that setting that losing mentality is just not good, especially for a young team to go out there and purposefully sit your players and try to put together as bad of a record as you can if you're not going to make the playoffs. So I'd like to see them stay competitive. I think there's more value in those games playing the young guys and letting them figure it out than there is in trying to put together as bad of a record as possible for maybe a little bit higher draft odds chance.
Yeah, I'm not to sound too pessimistic because I'm actually not that pessimistic. I think that the team is probably going to have some fun stretches this year, and I think that they have a lot of opportunity and a lot of talent to get better, and I'm really hopeful for the future. But just based on what we've seen so far, I think it's going to take some time for the team to get to know each other, and there's just such a small margin for error in the NBA. There's a lot of really good teams that are ready now. I mean, even looking at the teams that were at the bottom of the Western Conference last year, I don't think the Spurs or the Rockets are gonna lose or only win 22 games again. They're both gonna be better, I think. And so I think that we're gonna fall below those two teams, and I don't really see any other teams in the West that I think are gonna be worse than us. So I think there's a good chance that we'll be in either the 14th or the 15th slot and probably 23, 24 wins. I'd be pretty happy with that. At least we're going over the 20.5. I'll take 23 officially.
And the Bleacher report 12 wins or whatever they said.
No, that's not happening.
Man, that's crazy.
I get what you're saying, Kirby, and I don't want to sit young guys to tank. Last year, it was kind of a special case where that one game against the Spurs where Shaden had been balling out. If we won that one game, we moved up about 4 spots in the draft board. And obviously it worked out. We got a top 3 pick. So I don't want to sit guys to tank this year. I want to develop the young guys. I think it'll sort itself out. We will have a high draft pick. And keep in mind, everybody, we have Golden State's first round pick as well. Root against the Warriors as much as possible. Not like you had any other incentive to do that, right? Just the fact that they've been kicking the crap out of us for 20 years or whatever. No, we need the Warriors to basically be a lottery team, just like the Blazers, so we can get another high pick to pair with ours. And so that'll be a fun side story.
What if they're the worst team in the league? They're the team that only gets 12 wins.
It's a top 4 protected pick, so we actually want them to be the 5th.
All right. Good to know. So we can't root against them too hard.
Oh no, hard.
But not too hard. Not worst team in the league hard.
It's not hard for me to root against Chris Paul. That's I actually am kind of a Warriors guy. I've really enjoyed them over the years, but now they have freaking Chris Paul. Are you kidding me? He's been one of my least favorite players for like feels like going on 25, 30 years. How's he still in the league? What is this?
He's already coming off the bench. Looks like tonight he came off the bench. He's a plus 20 tonight. They're currently routing the Pelicans, but that you
watch,
all
that
on
pick's
this.
that pick's gonna be the 30th pick in the first round. You watch.
Yeah, they're about to find their 2016 Magic again.
Yeah.
They are playing CJ against CJ McCollum though, so
Oh, does CJ having a bad CJ game?
that's just a caveat. I mean, not terrible, but nothing
Hey,
super
Zion's got
special.
2 rebounds. That's what you expect from him, right?
Honestly,
2 boards.
Zion has been playing well to start the season, so that's is kind of shocking to me.
The only shocking thing about Zion is if he plays more than 40 games this season. That I would consider shocking.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. I think this is losing some steam, but this was a lot of fun. We got to watch the Blazers get a dub. Let's go. First win of the season. DeAndre Ayton looking dominant finally, or at least I don't know how you want to define dominant, but a nice high rebound number at the very least. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll continue to check in as the season unfolds and we really get a feel for what this team's going to offer us this year. See you next time.
Bye.